Okay, finally a Enoki guide. I'm gonna go around how to operate her, some recommendations for teams, tension cards, and hopefully I'll be able to help some beginners that want to play her and might think she's too hard. I see some people around on Reddit and Discord saying, she's too hard, don't bother. It's not that hard. She just kind of forces you to learn the basic mechanics of the game, of combat that is. And the reason why is her strategy skill, which is her main source of damage. To be able to execute her strategy skill, you need to gain some stacks from other sources of damage, being mostly her primary attack, her secondary attack, and her counter attack. Primary attack animation is very slow, so you're not gonna actually use it. You're gonna primary attack after you dodge. That way, you skip through the whole animation and go right into the last hit of the primary attack, which is the only one that gives you hit anyways, right? And then secondary attack, all hits will give you stacks for strategy skill. Counter attack will also give you stacks for your strategy skill. And what's important about her hit stacks is once Enoki gets attacked by an enemy, she will lose all your stacks. So basically you have to start over. And another thing is, if you do not alternate the action that gives you stacks, you gain nothing from the second time you do it. So you have to alternate. You cannot spam secondary attack, you cannot spam counter, because the second time you do it, you won't get any stacks. You have to alternate. You have to start secondary attack into dodge attack, or secondary attack into counter. You have to counter into dodge into secondary. That way you will always have a high amount of stacks to be able to use your strategy skill and demolish enemies. So I'm gonna show the first team that I'm actually using here. I guess we can change this because this is a premium setup for her, because it requires I guess, okay, that's not fair. Kazuki is not required. You just need any breaker here. Just so happens Kazuki is one of the current best breakers, but you can also just play Senju or Yo or Tsuki. And I'm gonna actually do that. I'm gonna change my Gio and Kazuki for Tsuki and Yo. And the reason I had Gio here is because his first passive will decrease the enemy's defense by 25% at max level if the enemy has poison stacks, which means this will have 100% uptime. So Gio is just the best offensive support in this game right now. But I will replace him with Tsuki, and I will replace Kazuki with Yo. So basically you want to run one breaker and one buffer. Tsuki is a breaker. She can also deal massive damage, but she is here mostly as a battery, a tension battery, and a crit rate buffer. Because when you use her skill chain, she gives party members courage, which gives crit rate by 10% for 10 seconds, which is great, especially when you're still building up your crit rate through Patimons and tension cards. You might not be up there where you want. So her skill chain helps quite a lot actually. And if you use your first passive on Tsuki, this will give you extra tension points when you use your skill chain. So every character gives 50 bar per skill chain, but Tsuki will give you 100, which means one break will give you 2 bars instead of 1.5. Which matters if you want to use the X cards, actually. That's very good. Also, about tension cards. Here I have what I would say is a baseline of useful cards that works with anyone. So, full party, everyone starts the game with full party. Strike zone, you should absolutely be summoning for this card, which is a one star TC. You cannot target Strike Zone, but you absolutely want this card at the start of the game, at the very least. It's gonna be hard to substitute this unless you get specific tension cards that gives you more crit rate than just doubling down full party, right? Because full party gets doubled if you have Unity, and Strike Zone applies Unity at the start of the battle. One other important card is Piping Hot. And the thing about Piping Hot and Strike Zone, but Strike Zone mostly, is at first when you start summoning for tension cards or for characters, you get a bunch of 1-star tension cards, right? You get a lot of these down here. And what you do with those dupes is you may use them to increase the ascension stage, but the percentage increase from ascension 1 to 5 is very low. So you really don't need to rush ascending them. You may as well just convert all the one star dupes you get just to buy Strike Zone from the card shop if you still don't have Strike Zone. And then once you have Strike Zone, you may also buy Piping Hot. None of those cards are farmable. You need to get currency to buy them, or you need to summon Strike Zone. But you cannot summon Piping Hot. You just summon Strike Zone. So Piping Hot is a decent card if you have Unity, because it doubles your strategy skill multiplier, which is our main source of damage anyways. There are a couple other cards that increase your skill damage multiplier, but the good ones are EX bar, so it requires you to play Tsuki, so you get to EX bar in just one break. Like New Hope will increase your strategy skill damage after secondary hit, and then Bomb Girl will also increase your strategy skill damage multiplier. But both of those are EX phase and requires you to play Tsuki, unless you're fine with just doing 2 breaks to reach enough bar, right? So this is just a baseline. You have maximization that works just as good as Excuse. Both of those cards are sources of control, and what control does is once the enemy has control, you will have increased crit rate when attacking him. So it's just very good effect to have if you still don't have good crit rate. And then Grinder also increases strategy skill damage multiplier. There are other cards you can add here. You may farm All Out from Endrone. The issue with All Out, it increases every source of damage, but you will consume a lot more stamina, which might be rough with Enoki, because if you remember what I talked about her rotation, you want to do secondary attack into dodge or counter, and then from that you go to the other one you didn't do yet, which means you use a lot of stamina, because both her secondary attack and her counter will use stamina, but dodge attack into primary will actually restore your stamina because it doesn't use any stamina. So something to keep in mind. This rotation uses a lot of stamina, and All Out can be kinda hard to play around, honestly, but it's a very good option if you get used to stamina management, or if you get any stamina from your Patimon, or if you use points for stamina, which is actually an important point I'll talk about in a second when I go to her potentials. So here, this is a baseline, right? This is my recommendation in general. If you get lucky and you summon Bad Wish is one of the best cards for Enoki if you manage to dodge and parry. Because the thing about Bad Wish is it works just like her heat stacks. You get crit rate, but as soon as you get hit from an enemy, as soon as you take damage, you will lose your extra crit rate. But you do get more crit rate by the time, right? You get 3 stacks of 8% at level 30. And these stacks, you gain Verge of Death every 5 seconds. So this card is just great. One of the best cards for Enoki if you do have this. You may have summoned for Kazuki's card. Kazuki's card is alright. It's the worst one out of the 3 for her. Mostly because the value in this card is having a character with additional attacks. Because with additional attacks, it gets a lot of crit rate. Enoki does not have any source of additional attacks, but you may use this card along with Detonator, which is the card you farm from Shark. This card will basically apply additional attack every time you crit, or if you have your enemy controlled, which you should. If you are running Excuse or Maximization, then you always deal additional attack. So if you pair Detonator, if you do a Detonator with I'm sorry. If you pair him with this card, you get the full stacks in just like one rotation, or even just like the first hit might give you all the stacks for this, and then this card is great. But yeah, I'll just go around with the... I guess this is a more free-to-play friendly lineup. I won't add any other card. I won't add any card you need to farm for, like the ones from bosses. But the cards from bosses, most of them are quite good. So you may as well try them. Also, something I'm testing still is running all out with cross counter attack. The issue with all out is you use a lot of stamina, so counter attack helps because every time you counter, you gain stamina back. So this might be an interesting pair, and I will be uploading soon a backgammon fight using both of these, trying to figure out the best rotation to kill that boss faster. So yeah, I'm gonna go with this team and this card setup, and we'll fight. I guess we can fight Death Penalty. Just to show the rotation I was talking about, let's see where Death Penalty is. And it's not a great place to go, but I guess just gotta go through the hotel. And after showing the rotation, I will talk about potential points. I could show her rotation in a normal enemy, but I think bosses are better because they have more reliable move sets. It might be easier to remember their animations and when to dodge or when to parry. Okay, so here the first thing I'll do is I will open with secondary attack, and he's gonna do her move, that move that's actually quite easy to counter. So I will gain hit from both of those actions. I will secondary attack, he should counter, and then after the counter, if he doesn't immediately follow up with a move, I will go back with secondary. But if he does, then I will just dodge to keep getting hit. So secondary into counter. He didn't attack, so I'm gonna just secondary into dodge. See? So here what I did was I secondary into counter, and then since he didn't start any animation, I just started doing secondary again after my counter. But as soon as I see him moving, and I know which skill is gonna be, then I just dodge whenever I know there's a window. And that's what's important about Enoki. You get better with Enoki the more you know the enemy. So you might die quite a bit until you get to know when to dodge, when to parry. There are some moves that are quite hard to counter. Some are just not counterable at all, like lasers and flamethrowers and wave slashes, but you can dodge any move. So try to figure out the windows in any fight that you can use to either dodge or counter while alternating those moves to get your stacks up. So here, just because I have a lot of stats, I think my strategy skill will actually kill Death Penalty here. So as soon as you get enough stats, this is quite a fast way to kill enemies. It's not the fastest because there are some builds around to nuke enemies with just ultimate skill, which is fine. But we are here to enjoy Enoki's, right? An Enoki gameplay loop. We're not here to speedrun, at least right now. So just strategy skill, yeah, strategy skill did enough damage to kill Death Penalty, and that's basically how you operate Enoki. You need to figure out the good moments to use her dodge or good moments to use counter. You need to alternate between counter, dodge, and her secondary skill. Now, her potentials. There has been a lot of discussions about her potential. Oh, by the way, my Enoki is T1, which means she gains heat from chain skill. It doesn't matter for most fights, honestly. When you're starting the game, this could be helpful when you still don't have strong gear, but this is neglectful, honestly. And for her potentials, mine is EX2, but if you were just EX, these are the points you would have available at EX. Right here, what I decided to go with is increase the second passive, because this is her main thing. And this is the synergy with not getting hit from enemies. what Skewered Meat does is the lowers your damage compared to max HP at certain threshold, the higher your damage bonus. So let's say you want to be at level 5. So at level 5, you need to be at 40% of max HP to gain 180% maximum damage bonus increase. So what I'm at right now is you need to be at 60% and gain 120%, which is a reasonable number, especially because I decided to spread points between this and her fighting instincts, which levels up her skills. So I just thought it was a better idea to spread those points because this will increase numbers of your skills, so might as well. You may want to run like this, and I did it first, but I really think it's just better to spread those points and have level 3 in both fighting instincts and passive skill expansion. Also, when you reach EX, if you really enjoy Enoki, I would advise going to at least EX1, because with EX1 you get 1 point you can use in survival instincts. And survival instincts, it's important because it gives you extra stamina to work with, right? So 100 points, your stamina at first is 1000, so there's increased 10% maximum stamina. You may also get maximum stamina from Patimon, but it's not really what you're chasing. So yeah, I really recommend going to EX1 if you really enjoy Enoki, just for a survival instincts point. And since I got EX2, I have 1 extra point. Honestly, there's no reason to increase her passive skill 1, because passive skill 1 decreases the amount of hit you gain. This is just very bad if you are operating Enoki, and you should only increase this skill if you're using her as your ultimate skill bot. And since I mentioned that, if you want to use Enoki as just ultimate skill nuker, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna just have level 2 fight instincts, level 2 second passive, because it still gives damage bonus if her HP is low enough, and then you increase passive skill 1 to level 3. So this is what you would have at EX. This is basically your stats for Enoki nuker, and you may as well have Patimons with the ultimate skill damage set bonus, right? But if you are controlling Enoki, if you are operating her, let me just go back to my points, then you absolutely want to go for the strategy skill damage bonus. Sadly, I do not have good stats in that set, but this is the best set to run with Enoki. Just go with strategy skill damage multiplier by 25%, because you will absolutely destroy any enemies with your strategy skill if you have this bonus along with good stats. So as you can see, I have bad sets, but I have the correct stats. I have only 1 bad piece, but honestly, counterattack stamina cost reduction ain't that bad with Enoki, because you are countering attack a lot. This helps reducing your stamina usage, especially if you're running all out. So this can be helpful, but of course I wanna replace this card by one that has crit damage, attack, and crit rate. But yeah, that's it. I think I went through everything that I wanted to talk about her. If you have any question and want to post in the comment section, or you can reach out to me on Discord. I am in the it's not official server, but I am in the Reddit Discord. You can tag me. I'm simping for Enoki in the Reddit Discord, but you may also find me. You can find me by Sir Ainsworth. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna post this unedited, so if I mention anything not in a proper way, or if I mispronounce something, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to improvise here what I can, and hopefully this helps you. So yeah, I will be uploading a couple runs in the next few days with Enoki. I might start some other discussions about her. I might test Suruku, because Suruku, if you guys pulled for Kazu extension card, that card is disgusting with Suruku, honestly. But yeah, I will think about what I'm doing next. But for now, this is it. See you later. Thanks for watching.